Thank you so much, Ansa. I'm just doing a sound check just so that I know that how the voice is going. Okay. Okay. Is it too loud? No, please thank you so much, gentlemen, and I'm glad that you have me here. Rural integration in the country, how are we making sure that there are more technological subscribers that are coming in the country, more mobile users that are being adopted every single day in the country, and also we're looking at what opportunities this means for the businesses that want to thrive on it. So we'll keep this an engaging session. Gentlemen, comes to buy, it will be done something because of Pakistan में हमें सारे लोग देख रहे हैं, so it will be good that we can connect with the people as well. Okay, G, I have a series of questions that have been given to me, but सबसे पहले तो मैं जाऊँगी. I think I'll start off with Zuhair Saab because we want to look at the journey. So Zuhair Saab, from modeling when we started off with the 3Gs and the 2Gs and then HR आया, उसके बाद फिर 4G आया. How has the journey been like? Did we foresee that it was going to be this fast for the country, or are we still lagging behind?
Thank you. It's a very interesting journey. I'm glad you asked the question because I'll take you back to 1993 when mobility was first launched. 1989 we had Instaphone and Parktel, also two networks which were called the AMS network at the time, and then mobility became the GSM network. From let's say 1992 to 2002, we had a collective 4 companies by that time, Uniform Africa, but only 2 million customers in the entire country in 10 years. And so the question at the time was, is this something which is relevant to Pakistan? Is this a technology which will ever be adapted? And rich man's toy है, इसका तो कोई फायदा नहीं है, इसमें reality है, etc. Between 2003, lots of things changed. New cellular policy came, prepaid was suddenly given the lease of life, and then if you notice the trajectory that from 2003 to 2008, the mobile customer base in Pakistan went from 2 million to about 75 million. So that was quite a phenomenal ride. मेरे साथ सब आगे बैठे हैं यहाँ पे, he was partner in that ride, as well as so many other people. And essentially what changed was that the pricing changed, the fact that the prepaid service was available to the customers, and it was also a very stable time in terms of government and economic policy. As a result of which, investors came in, 2 more licenses were issued in 2004 to Telecom and Bharat Telecom. And all of that contributed to this amazing growth pattern in that 5.5 year period. And at that time, it was still basically from 2 to 2.5G or edge, जिसे हम कहते थे उस ज़माने में. 3G was still a few years away. In fact, the operators were a little afraid कि 3G आ जाएगा, इसे कैसे afford करेंगे, will customers be able to afford this? So there was a great debate, and we were a little late as a country to the 3G party. So I think the licenses were issued in 2014 and 2015 when our services launched, which was probably about 5 or 6 years behind the rest of the world, as it were. Today we stand at 194 million mobile connections in Pakistan, which is the statistics from the PTA website tells you that 88% of households in Pakistan today have a mobile connection. Now, not all of it is 3G and 4G enabled, a lot of it is still edge driven, but essentially they have access to mobile internet in some form, even if it's very slow. So it's been quite an amazing journey, especially after taking it to 2008, say up there, which is almost another 14 years, we went 25 million to about 194 million customers. 121 million of those are 3G, 4G enabled customers, so they have access to mobile wireless internet as well. Going forward, I think the big challenge now is the continued rollout of 4G services in Pakistan. Before we get to the topic, which is 5G, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who will want to comment on that as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Zarsa. I'm looking on to Zarsa here because you're representing PTCL, and we're looking at a lot of internet provision as well that your provider is offering. How are you foreseeing that with the 4G coming into the country, is it going to transcend and cover a lot of the areas? We still see that a lot of Pakistan, especially in the northern regions of the Pakistan, the facility of this is going to be a trend and there's going to be greater adoption, and then we're going to spread this 135 million to a little bit more.
Right. So I think if you look at the ecosystem now, where Pakistan is, and as Reza mentioned, that unfortunately we were very late in adopting 3G. 3G should have come by the mid 2000s. The licenses were predominantly awarded in 2013, and the networks came in 2014. Right now, 4G, if you look at it, it's still predominantly a mobile technology. And while it is correct that the number of smartphones are over 120 million, and we have, mashallah, great adoption of mobile broadband in Pakistan, the adoption of fixed broadband is still abysmally low. The total number of, let's say, fiber to the home connections are still under 2 million. And I think this is where the real challenge lies. And this is the gap that we really need to make sure that we are overcoming, because one of the major challenges in 4G as a mobile technology is that the capacities are not such that they allow real consumption of high definition multimedia. And this necessitates that either people are focusing on spending more money, which they don't want to do, because the R2s, the revenue per user for mobile in Pakistan, with the current US dollar rate, it is less than $1, which is very, very low. And if I remember correctly, that number was around touching $10 when Reza was the CEO of Mobilink at that time. And there has been a huge erosion of the value that is there, where now we are looking at below $1. And I think with those sort of revenue streams, it is going to be a little bit difficult to add more capacity onto 4G so that it can really fulfill the desire and the demand of Pakistan to provide fixed internet. And this is one area where I think 5G, which is predominantly defined as wireless fiber and everything, is going to come in and fill a gap. And I think the economics also makes sense, because while the revenue per user on the mobile side may be around 150 to 200 rupees, on the home connections, the revenue are more than 1,500. So then you're looking at a 10 propensity of payment to be much higher, about 10 times higher. And I think this is the magic key that is going to unlock the economic challenges that may be developed in deploying 5G or something.
Great, no, thank you, and that this gives us a different perspective that still for a lot of people the affordability factor that you're speaking about is going to lead to greater inclusion as well. I'm going to move to Haris, if we can pass on the mic to Haris, because I do know for a fact that USF works a lot on inclusion and different forms of inclusion as well, where we have more women, more people from the rural side also, well, urban rural side now. We don't really have a very, what you can say, the original sense of the word rural side of the country. But जब हम खवातीन की inclusion की बात करते हैं, जब हम और ऐसे लोगों की बात करते हैं जो कि हमारे में भी agri-based farmers of different sectors of people are going to be using these facilities. How do we make the basic necessity of internet connections and then digitalization of the whole, how do we make it more affordable?
Education में कितना गैप है, e-education का, e-health में कितना गैप है. And COVID has made us realize that it's very important that we need to have a meaningful connectivity, not only in the metropolitan and urban area, but also in the rural areas. और उसका सबसे बड़ा एडवांटेज हम लोगों ने देखा, जहाँ जहाँ रूरल एरिया में कनेक्टिविटी थी, things have been not been able to उस तरह नहीं लुटी या स्टॉल हुई जिस तरह कुछ जगह पे हुई। बहुत सारे लोगों ने पीपल स्टार्ट टू स्कूल्स, ऑनलाइन स्कूल से स्टार्ट कर दिया। इसी तरह ई हेल्थ से कुछ समहाउ कहीं ना कहीं कनेक्टिविटी से दे बी एबल टू मैनेज दैट। एंड पाकिस्तान एनीवेज 60% इज रूरल कम्युनिटी, एंड जितने भी टेलीकॉम ऑपरेटर्स हैं इनका मेजरली फोकस इज ऑलवेज ऑन मेट्रोपॉलिटन urban area. The reason being that it commercially makes more sense. So that's a government of Pakistan or private stakeholders, we will say Universal Service Fund has been established in the Ministry of IT and Telecom to provide connectivity in the rural and remote areas of Pakistan. So I would say that in the last 3 years, approximately 40 million rural communities हैं जो कि rural areas across Pakistan में live in, उनकी एक्सेस के लिए इंटरनेट के लिए डिफरेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट स्टैब्लिश किए गए और उनमें से अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 25 मिलियन को एक्सेस प्रोवाइड कर दिया है, विच इज़ अ बिग नंबर। एंड अभी जिसका जोहेर साहब ने और ज़रा साहब ने बात की कि वी सी नाउ 121 मिलियन 3G 4G सब्सक्राइबर्स अक्रॉस Pakistan में, and we are looking at another 10 million we should have been able to do it by end of this year, but unfortunately due to current economic situations and ban on import of LCs and other things, it might not be able to do that 40 million by end of this year. But if things gets better, so hopefully early next year we'll be able to do that. And that's going to be a major game changer in the rural communities.
Thank you. Yes, so a positive picture overall. But Marissa, I'll move on to you. I want to know that due to all of what we're hearing, yes, there is an economic downturn, but then there's also a lot of talk about new industries popping up, new developments. People looking at more avenues in which they're starting off with their businesses or maybe exploring career options. What do you foresee, being an ICT consultant, a larger part of your career? What new applications or what new avenues can our youngsters explore when they look at 5G potentially being in the country?
5G is a new technology, as we all know, of course, and new applications are being developed, mainly, of course, in the West. And the applications relate to Internet of Things, for example, which is possible in 4G also, but Internet of Things in a much more massive scale, where maybe every plant in an agricultural environment, in a field, every plant can have a sensor, or a cattle farm with thousands of cattle, every cattle piece with a sensor. So in a much bigger volume will be possible with 5G and things like that. So other than that, we have applications in healthcare because of the low latency. Latency is that, for those who don't know, is the lag between the actual thing happening and the other side being able to see it on a video. So in remote surgeries, for example, this has an application. Then we have applications like driverless cars, where again everything has to be online and everything has to be with a minimum possible lag, because a fraction of a second in an accident is a long time, and anything happens if the driverless car is not reacting. So things like that. But all these developments in the beginning are, of course, applicable in the more developed countries. There are applications in the defense side also. But what we have to do is we have to find our own areas where we meet now the developing countries. We have to find our own areas where we can use 5G's capabilities to our advantage. Of course, someday we will maybe have driverless cars and remote surgeries also. But for now, it is for us to find what can be done with the technology which is now coming to us. Therefore, I think what we have to do is we have to enable or provide 5G environment to our universities and research organizations where they can play with it and find out what applications they can develop. The applications which are indigenously developed. Of course, if we do it in Pakistan, the same kind of applications will be found in, of course, many other small developing countries or big developing countries even. So this idea of bringing in technology, I think is extremely important. Some people advocate that no, we are not ready and we don't need 5G. Personally, I don't agree with that. We heard similar stories in 3G, and as Reza explained, we were 6 years late in 3G. I think we should bring it up. And if you ask me today, what applications? I'm sorry, I will not be able to pinpoint what applications, but this is a tremendous opportunity which 5G is providing. Things are becoming possible which were never before possible, and we have to find our own way. So not only that we have to provide, we should provide trial 5G networks to universities and research organizations, but we should also enable them in other ways. If there are any regulatory issues, financial issues even, maybe we can use Ignite Fund to fund some of those application developments at this stage. So at this point in time, one cannot pinpoint any particular application, but the technology gives us the opportunity to come up with some and help our economy and the country to grow.
Great. Thank you so much, Professor. We'll move around to Rahman and Musa. And as a business owner, so what opportunities do you see or foresee, especially for the business community, especially when we talk about the outsourcing side of things? We heard from Kamal in the morning as well that we are the fourth largest destination, and our net imports are still way beyond our next door competitor, that's India. We are on 1.2 billion and they're on 200 billion, so there's a huge divide. But what do these opportunities, if 4G is exercised in the country and it's readily available, what opportunities do you foresee for the business owners?
Right, thank you very much for having me. मैं थोड़ा सा क्विक इंट्रोडक्शन भी करा देता हूँ अपने बारे में. हम लोग बेसिकली जी we manufacture mobile phones in Pakistan, and our objective from day one has been to introduce affordable 4G phones in Pakistan. अगर हम थोड़ा सा बात करें कि बिजनेस ओनर्स या बिजनेस कम्युनिटी के लिए 5G के अंदर क्या अपॉर्चुनिटीज होंगी, तो जिस तरह अभी प्रवेश साहब भी बता रहे थे कि there are a lot of applications that are coming globally on 5G, और पाकिस्तान में I personally think हमें इंडस्ट्री की साइड पे अगर हम पहले देखें तो इंडस्ट्री को लेकर हम चलें और उसको ऑटोमेट करने के लिए 5G टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज़ किया जाए, तो I think that can be something that can help us to start 5G practically. Right now पाकिस्तान में जो सिचुएशन है वो ये है कि although के 120 million के करीब स्मार्टफोन यूजर्स आ चुके हैं, but still we have about 80 million 2G users in the market. और इंटरेस्टिंगली वो यूजर्स कम नहीं हो रहे, वो बढ़ रहे हैं. चूँकि being a manufacturer ourselves in पाकिस्तान, हम ये देखते हैं कि जो continuously import हो रहा है वो 2G बहुत ज़्यादा हो रहा है. हमें इसको थोड़ा सा डिस्करेज भी करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज नई टेक्नोलॉजी जिस तरह 5G वगैरह आएंगी तो अगर हम लोग की लार्जर पॉपुलेशन 2G पे बैठी रहेगी तो हम लोग किस तरह से माइग्रेट कर सकेंगे उनको। हम अगर अपने नेबरिंग कंट्री में देखें, फॉर एग्जांपल जियो की एक एग्जांपल पूरी दुनिया में नजर आ रही है, तो उन्होंने स्टार्ट किया अपने ऑपरेशन 4G से किया है, और टुडे दे हैव अबाउट 400 मिलियन 4G कस्टमर्स ऑल टुगेदर, देयर इज नो 2G कस्टमर देयर। और उसके अराउंड भी उन्होंने बहुत सारी एप्लीकेशन, बहुत सारी अपॉर्चुनिटीज क्रिएट की, और जो यूजर है उसको अपने फ़ोन के ऊपर सारी एप्लीकेशन और फैसिलिटीज लोकली मिल रही हैं। तो मेरा ये ख्याल है कि अपॉर्चुनिटीज तो बेशुमार हैं। अगर गवर्नमेंट की साइड से थोड़ी सी इंकरेजमेंट मिले, राय कर सकते हैं कि ऑपरेटर्स को अगर ट्रायल करने दिया जाए तो वो 1-2 साल ट्रायल्स करके इंडस्ट्री को साथ लेके इसको शुरू करें 5G को, तो ऑटोमेशन के अंदर तो बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटी है। थैंक यू।
Absolutely, you're very well said. I think I'm just going to now not go on the questions that I have, and I want to open the floor. Zarada, I want to ask you, putting your HR hat on, because you're managing a huge team. 4G आ गया, सबको हमने devices दे दी, work from home और work from office का अभी already एक dichotomy चल रही है कि what's the right way, what's the right approach for the country to go on. तो 5G अगर आ गया और सारे work from home हो गए, how okay will be you as a business leader to embrace that particular change that the world has already embraced? पाकिस्तान में अभी हम फिर भी थोड़े से reluctant हैं.
In the previous life, I launched 5G back in 2019 with my previous employer. I think the biggest use case and the way it should develop general use case is that let's not have a solution and then try to find problems which that solution can solve, but do it the other way around. What are the 3 biggest challenges Pakistan is facing right now? And in no specific order of priority, in my opinion, the 3 biggest challenges are: number 1, our economy is not digitized. Because our economy is not digitized, so all the digital transformation technologies that come in are financial, or let it be banks, let it be the cash equivalents, they are not there. So lack of digitization of the economy is the first problem. The second problem is that unfortunately our children, from a quality of education point of view, we have severely lagging developing world. And I think the quality of education that our common students in the villages have, that is somewhere with sub-Saharan Africa that we are seeing. The third biggest problem that we are having at a macro scale is that we are an agrarian society, but our agricultural output per acre and our agricultural output per cubic meter of water is amongst the lowest across all its peer groups. So these are 3 very fundamental problems that are sort of putting Pakistan on a risk path when you are looking at long-term sustainability and growth. And what we really need to look at is that 5G is doing 2-3 things. First, 5G is very open. There was a time, and I think all of us were here between 2000 and 2010, one of the biggest exports of Pakistan was the engineers and the commercial people who had worked with Mobilink, Telenor, Varent, Paktel, Instaphone, and now they are all over the world. Because we delayed 3G, unfortunately that whole pipeline has dried up. Now you don't see many people, working whether in Australia, US, in the technology field. 5G is heavily reliant on open sourcing. You have platforms like TIP, you have platforms like open source networks and everything, and I think what we can do is we can start to actively contribute. And doing that, we will be able to build localized ecosystem to cater to those areas. Now coming back to the second problem for work from home. So I'm very proud to say that at least within TTCL group, which is TTCL and Uphone, we have encouraged to the point of almost making it mandated that 20% of the work hours of every employee, starting from the CEO, route time to the junior people who are not in day-to-day operations has to be done from home. So whether it is our call center, whether it is the commercial teams, technical teams, at least one day a week we work from home and it is mandated. In Pakistan, somehow we have felt that we belong to a very regimented society. You know, we were a colony of the Britishers for almost half a millennium, and I think there is a sort of, if I may use the term, we are control freaks at times. And we have this thing at the back of our minds that, you know, if a person is not in the office, maybe the productivity is not going to be the same. This is posing two challenges. The first challenge is that in the fourth industrial revolution, if you're working from the office, your cost bases are going up. And the second problem is that the new boys and girls from the Gen Z, they are looking at work from a totally different mindset from what people from my generation were looking at. And if you ask me, we would say that it was even tougher in, you know, probably the generations before. Work from home or work from anywhere, I don't think it is an option or a choice. I think the technology has provided us with a base that we can really work from anywhere. What we really need to do is that we need to focus on changing the mindset so that we can really unlock the potential that it brings rather than the challenges that we so seriously are focusing on right now.
Excellent. No, this sounds very haunting, but the reason why I posed the question was also to, you know, just sensitize all of the people in the audience and all of the people who will also be looking at this particular panel and your discussion to, you know, just make this as a norm and start using these best practices that are being followed by other employers and make it a part of their organizations as well. But we spoke about generations, and so HERSA is dealing with the Gen Zs and the millennials at the National Incubation Center every single day. And we do see what Parvesa was also mentioning, that the role here of the regulator is immense. If you're looking at academia as a partner where they come in and embrace the technologies and make it a part of the curriculum, then that's great. But then on the other spectrum, when we're looking at organizations and regulators like Ignite, to come on board and facilitate such startups that are adopting and basing their sole business ideas on technology, and we're specifically talking about 5G in this panel. But so how do you see? We do see that at the NIC we are incubating and developing startups to go in and present their ideas and their pitch decks on international platforms as well. I've been a part of pitching panels as well. बट जहाँ पे बात आ जाती है ना कि वो कैसे पाकिस्तान में ये चीज़ कैसे करेंगे आप, या तो हमारा इंटरनेट ही सही नहीं चलता, then our startups are lost. How do you foresee then, specifically for the startup community and specifically for the kids who are thinking about developing a tech-enabled startup, उनके लिए presence of 5G in the country, how important is that?
Okay, thank you. I think a number of questions in there, and there's a lot of answers as well. If I can take the startups as a first, we've been working with startups now for about 6 years at the NIC Pakistan, and I can tell you that every day is a revelation. There's a money where I was at Mobilink twice, two tenures in the 90s and then in the early 2000s. I used to say, and I still say today, that we have some of the brightest minds in the world, and I've had the privilege of working in many countries in the world, across the US, the UK, parts of the Middle East, Europe, and I can tell you that we are no less, in fact, sometimes much better in terms of the intelligence, the talent, and the willingness to go into things. So that's very important. Now, if we come to the startups that we're working with today, all the things जो अभी बात हुई है कि 5G की application कैसे होगी, उसकी use cases क्या होंगे, we're already on our way. Okay, so if you read 5G as a word thing, you basically what you understand from that is that over the next 10 years or so, the various economists and experts are predicting that the overall 5G services ecosystem will be worth between 12 and 13 trillion globally. 5G will contribute something to the tune of $3.5 trillion to the global GDP growth. So those are very large numbers, they're big numbers, and inshallah we will be very much part of it, maybe not immediately, but over a period of time. Our use cases, for example, and of course मैं वो दूसरी बात में आऊँगा, but for example, remote education. We talked about education and the lack of education in some of our people. This is a big example of how we can spread education to rural areas of Pakistan through enablement 4G and then eventually 5G, inshallah. Similarly, healthcare is something that we can focus on, and I think it's an area where a lot of our startups, both in remote education and healthcare, are already pretty ready to do what needs to be done. The third arm, again, I think was mentioned earlier, is agriculture. We are essentially an agricultural-based society, and value chain needs to be digitized. And again, I find that a lot of the work that we do with our startup, they're already very much in tune, they want to go do this, and they're already deploying the necessary systems and processes to make that happen. I firmly believe that with or without 5G, over the next 3 to 5 years, you will see a lot of that digitalization actually taking place. It's happening, and I think it will continue to happen. Now, you mentioned the regulator. There are many regulators in the picture right now. So there is obviously the Pakistan Telecom Authority, the key one here. There is the USF government, how is maintaining on it, and there is IGNITE, which is another facilitator, sort of regulator as well. A lot has to be done in terms of literally a rude wake-up call at that level. We are not in tune with what's happening around the world. We are too focused on just basically taking in license fees from mobile operators, taxing them to a ridiculous sum. For example, today, when you charge a 100 rupee SIM card, 35 rupees of good of stereo. So the subscriber only actually gets 65 rupees worth for his 100 rupees. This is the highest in the world, ladies and gentlemen, and we need to rethink that substantially, because once we reduce that, it makes the affordability factors in the rural area and for the lower income groups that much more affordable. Similarly, taxes on the mobile operators are some of the highest in the world on the DB infrastructure that we use, and it is tough for them to go out, deploy the net. Can you hear me? So we're talking about 5G technology and we're not getting a microphone. जी और है आपके पास कोई, excuse me? बात करने से पहले एक और माइक्रोफोन है जो इसका बिहेव ना करे? Thank you. So this is one of the areas actually which is a use case for technology in Pakistan and we're digressing. Sound systems have just not been invested in at all. It's very disappointing. I have a pet peeve on this one. Coming back to what I was talking about earlier, taxation and the licensing on mobile operators has to be substantially rethought before we will see the effects of 4G and ultimately 5G in being entrenched in the economy in Pakistan. I was about a year and a half ago, I was at the ND University and there was a big panel discussing similar things, and one of the very, very senior gentlemen in the crowd who we were presenting to, I was absolutely shocked because his view was that mobile operators बहुत पैसा बनाते हैं, they are crooks and they need to be punished and they need to be taxed. And I thought, I've got 4 international level mobile operators, investors from around the world are investing money in this country. So far, something to the tune of 20 to 25 billion dollars over the last 20 years. Is Saudi BJP website predicted there's about $1.5 billion of investment coming in, despite all the hurdles that are in place. We need to rethink that attitude, that approach to people who are investing in the country. And they're not only just investing dollars. They've created hundreds of thousands, if not millions of jobs in this country. And as a result, people are unable in their businesses with mobile availability. So we need to, the reason I'm going there is I've been doing this for 31 years now. And as I said, in various parts of the world, we have to change our attitude before we get to the stage where 4G and 5G will actually make a difference to our economy, to the lives of our people, and stop treating it as a luxury item which can be heavily taxed. Sorry,
No,
this
no,
was
no,
that.
thank you so much, Zohair Saab. I think I can speak without the mic as well, and जितने लोग हैं अभी उनको आवाज आ रही होगी. If you can pass this on to Parvez Saab till the other microphone is getting fixed. I wanted to ask the same question, Zohair Saab. Shed an eye on that a little bit. थोड़ा सा बात हो गई. मैं इधर जाना नहीं चाह रही थी कि when we're talking about competition, when we're talking about healthy competition, all of the mobile operators that we have in the country are competing on price war. तो 5G आता है, कितने providers होंगे? पहले तो ये भी हुआ था कुछ साल पहले, and slowly there was a greater adoption. But do you think that competition, and is it going to make things better in terms of making it more affordable for the people? Ji Parvez Saab.
जी, first of all, competition is good. इसमें तो कोई शक नहीं है. Unfortunately, हमारे यहाँ ये हुआ है कि competition कुछ over competition में कन्वर्ट हो गया. तो this low ARPU, I mean average revenue per user, जो हमारे यहाँ है, we are one of the I think 3 bottom ARPU countries in the world. With that, the ARPU has gone so down, so low, that investments are not coming into the country. Other than the reasons which Zohair rightly mentioned, that mindset which says that पैसा बनाना जुर्म है, wealth creation is bad. That mindset which says that अगर कोई पैसा बना रहा है तो उसको tax करो. Forgetting that these people who are making money supposedly are coming from abroad and they have all the rest of the world in front of them. I mean, if you tax them heavily, if you don't treat them well, then who else will? It's not a problem for them. In fact, right now you must have heard one of the operators is winding up from Europe, the only one from Europe. So competition is good, but we have to regulate the competition and regulate the competition in a way that the investors invest more. Because the investors are not investing in Pakistan, the condition or the status of 4G in the country is not as good as it should have been. Other than the big cities in 3-4 big cities, and of course rural areas where USF is doing a good job of taking fibers, in between the condition is pathetic. The 4G is so bad that although we are probably the 4th largest contributors in freelancers in the world. All those freelancers come from these 4 or 5 cities, or maybe 7 cities. But if we provide them good internet and if we provide them opportunities, there are very bright young people in smaller cities also. In Pakistan, only 10% of now maybe 12%, because lately there has been a surge. Towers are connected with optic fiber cables. Comparison: Bangladesh 57%, India 30%, Malaysia 50%, and so on. So we need to invest more in fiber. We need more spectrum. We are one of the most spectrum-starved countries in the world. The spectrum which the government has released to the mobile companies for use is lower than even Afghanistan. So, and whenever they, first of all, it's not released. When it is released with such conditions and such high floor prices in the auctions that the operators stay away. So we have to make some fundamental changes to encourage the operators, the investors to come and invest in this. The good news is that the government will not have to invest anything. In Pakistan, the entire telecommunications sector, and the telecommunications is what on which the IT runs, the digital transformation will run on those rails, is laid by the private sector. So the government has nothing to do. So it's comparative, theoretically it's very simple, but we need to have a very good look at our policies and the regulations.
Thank you. I'm still intrigued with what Fatma has said around digital transformation, and I think one of the things that have stuck with me is sustainability. And when we're talking about business processes, I'm going to pose Haris this question, that there's so much digitalization that we're speaking about. We're speaking about including more people that will have access to digital services, and then with that access to 4G and 5G services as well. Are we also looking at the data protection? The world is following a data protection regime. We have seen it get implemented, even if in years, but the European Union has implemented it fantastically, I think. पाकिस्तान में हमारा डेटा तो कोई भी देखो, हमें तो अभी भी मैसेजेस आ रहे हैं, हमें तो अभी
without our
ये फिर माइक गड़बड़ कर रहा है, अच्छा देख लें इसको, फिर भी हमें वो ही मैसेजेस आ रहे हैं और डेटा कलेक्शन is leaking. Are we then as organizations, are we looking at data protection? Is somebody going to take a lead on it? Technology आ जाएगी, embrace हो जाएगी, हम बहुत सारे लोगों को in the full picture that whether it's also bringing in some adverse effects, and should we be cognizant of those bad effects?
Thank you. As far as the data protection is concerned, I guess legislation is in place, the policies are there. But the challenge, the issue is that our mindset is not on this that we have to invest in the data. So if we have to protect our data, we need to invest. And we are not at this stage because of certain economic challenges in our mindset that we are not building certain firewalls, that we are not investing on our website जो कि आप usually है कि लीक हो जाती हैं. और second, I think हमारे जो skills हैं cyber security side पे वो भी थोड़ी सी weak हैं. We don't have the right person to look after that. So we come across कि इस टाइम पे दुनिया में अगर देखा जाए सबसे ज़्यादा डिमांड जॉब है साइबर सिक्योरिटी स्पेशलिस्ट की है. And हम लोग यहाँ स्टिल कॉन्सेप्ट है कि किसी ने IT में कंप्यूटर साइंस में ग्रेजुएशन की हुई है साइबर सिक्योरिटी एक्सपर्टीज उसको भी आती होगी. Which I personally think is evolved with time now. Thought about maybe he or she has the basics, but not to the expert level. So I think there are two things which needs to be really focused on: the IT investment, the financing investment on the cyber security by building the right firewalls, and secondly also investing on the right skill set. So we have the right in those combinations, but then we will be able to do that. And it has to come from us, from the organization level and individual levels. Government cannot be very active or important. I think we all have to put ourselves on this. Thank you.
yeah.
Rahman, I want to ask you, I think this should be a final question also to the panel. मुझे ये बताइए कि as again a business owner, for you, how do you see again the role of the regulator? I want you to build up on what you say as different regulators are working on different areas. और आपके लिए as business owner, what have been some of the challenges that you have faced? और अगर 5G की implementation आती है तो वो processes आपके जहन में आप क्या चाहेंगे कि आपको क्या चीज़ facilitation मिल जाए गवर्नमेंट से या रेगुलेटर से particularly?
देखिए इसमें जैसे मैंने पहले अर्ज किया कि गवर्नमेंट का रोल क्योंकि बहुत ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है. हमने
اس کے لیے ہمیں یوز کیسز کو ڈیولپ کرنے کے لیے آہستہ آہستہ ٹرائلس کرنے پڑیں گے, انڈسٹریز کو آن بورڈ کرنا پڑے گا. اب اگر گورنمنٹ یہ کہتی ہے کہ میں نے اپنے اسپیکٹرم کو آپشن کرنا ہے, جس طرح پرویز صاحب کہہ رہے تھے, اور بڑی ہائی ویلیو پہ اس کو کرتا ہے, اور پھر گورنمنٹ کرتی ہے کہ اس کو آپشن دین دی ٹیکس از ویری ہیویلی. تو آپریٹرز آر آلریڈی ہیویلی انویسٹڈ ان 4G, اور ابھی تک ان کو اپنا ڈیزائر آپ کو نہیں مل رہا, جس کے پیچھے اگین بہت ساری ریزنز ہیں. اور whenever we meet all these operators, تو سب کا یہی کنسرن ہوتا ہے کہ یار ہمارے آرپس ڈکلائن ہو رہے ہیں, اور we don't see any possibility کہ یہ انکریز ہو سکیں. میں تھوڑا سا دوبارہ سے ذرا کوئکلی آپ کو اس لیے بات ہے 2G کی سائڈ پہ لے کر آتا ہوں بار بار, کہ ابھی جب موبائل فون مینوفیکچرنگ کے لائسنسز گورنمنٹ دے رہی تھی, اس وقت بھی ہمارا جو کچھ لوگوں کا انڈسٹری میں وہ یہ اوپینین تھا کہ گورنمنٹ انکریج کرے نئی ٹیکنالوجی کے اندر انویسٹ کرنے کے لیے, رات دن کے وہ لیگیسی پرانی ٹیکنالوجیز کے اندر انویسٹ کروائے. تو بٹ چونکہ گورنمنٹ ایک اوپن پالیسی بنا دی, اس سے یہ ہوا کہ اگین بھی انکریج کہ لوگ 2G کے ڈم پروڈکٹس لے کر آئیں اور ان کو ڈپلوائے کرتے جائیں اور مارکیٹ میں بیچتے جائیں, جس کی وجہ سے چونکہ 2G از اے بگ فیکٹر فار ڈکلائننگ آؤٹپٹ, اور کانٹینیوسلی لائک آئی سیڈ ارلیئر کہ وہ نمبر ہم دیکھ رہے ہیں امپورٹ میں, مینوفیکچرنگ میں, کہ وہ بڑھتے جا رہے ہیں. I mean right now you see there almost 60% every month production is going on the 2G side, and it's only 40% for the 4G side. تو گورنمنٹ کو اپنی پالیسی بناتے وقت خالی انڈسٹری کو ہی ساتھ لے کے نہیں چلنا چاہیے, بلکہ گلوبلی دیکھنا بھی چاہیے کہ گلوبلی کیا ہو رہا ہے, کہاں دنیا جا رہی ہے. اب جب 5G کی سائڈ پہ ہم آئیں گے تو 5G میں اگین being a device manufacturer, what I see right now is that for consumer the devices are pretty expensive. We're talking about $150 to $200 CPE for a home user. So which may not be very cost effective or affordable for the consumers. And then again operators کو اس کے اوپر اپنا ROI دیکھنا پڑے گا. So 5G کے لیے ڈاؤن دا روڈ گورنمنٹ کو نئی پالیسی لانے پڑے گی, انسینٹیوائز کرنا پڑے گا کہ 5G ریلیٹڈ پروڈکٹس جتنی بھی ہیں ان کو یا تو فار سم ٹائم زیرو ٹیکس میں لایا جائے اور انکریج کیا جائے کہ وہ پروڈکٹ آ سکیں. تو چونکہ آلریڈی میرے ساتھ سارے سینئرس بیٹھے ہوئے ہیں اور شور کے ریسرچ اینڈ ڈیولپمنٹ کے اندر ان لوگوں کا بہت ایکسپیرینس بھی ہے, تو ایک تھنک ٹینک ایک بنانا چاہیے گورنمنٹ کو, اور 5G کے لیے اس کی طریقے کام کرنا چاہیے. تھینک یو.
Thank you so much. I think with that we'd like to wrap up this panel discussion. I say my thanks to Zarar Sahab, Zuhair Sahab, Parvez Sahab, Haris, and Rahman Sahab. The level of discussions we're overall looking at, we are at the digital summit. So we are talking all things positive, embracing that for Pakistan. But thank you so much for all of your inputs and for sharing your thoughts on this very important topic, 5G as a game changer. Thank you, Ansa.